right, we're here with episode 2 of Now You Know. We have a special guest today, Donte DiVincenzo of the New York Knicks. My man's been on fire, so I'm sure everybody here knows him well. Shooting the ball lights out. It's been pretty fun to watch as a Knicks fan, I'll tell you that much.
Appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
So, Donte, just tell me really quick. So, tell me about you. Who are you? Where'd you grow up? Tell me about how you grew up. Brothers, sisters. Curious, people want to get to know you.
Yeah, so I have an older brother. We grew up and lived in Wilmington, Delaware. Very tight, close-knit family. Anything that, I did, we did together. Anything that, I was always following him around.
He played basketball?
He played soccer.
Okay.
So he was a big soccer player, and he played basketball, but, we would always go to the park and play basketball like every single, he would get off of work and I'd get done school and I would text him and be like, yo, you're off work at 6, at the court at 6:30 and try to get in before the, before the sun goes down. So
before your mom's screaming,
yeah, exactly.
Dinner's ready.
But yeah, so like basically very, very simple childhood. Just always with my family, playing soccer, playing basketball growing up. That's
Parents athletes or anything?
My dad played basketball. My mom was big into swimming.
Okay.
So, just having that, kind of athletic background kind of definitely helps.
So Delaware's like a pretty small state, right? So, growing up, was there much competition for basketball? Like, were you always right away, were you the best kid when you were 7? Or did you work really hard and then by the age of 10? Like, when did that happen?
Well, I always played up.
Okay.
I always enjoyed playing up. And then when I got into high school, started playing, travel AAU on a high level circuit. That's when, I was playing with my age group and I was on actually the second team, the B team or whatever you want to call it.
Times have changed.
And then, so then the following summer I went to the EYBL circuit and played there 1 year and, blew up in terms of, recruitment. And after that, once I, found my home college-wise, it was just working out. It was just, getting ready for college.
How hard did you work? A lot of the people, what we do here too is we talk about people from, they could come up from nothing to something, whether it be in business or sports or, whatever it might be. How hard did you work? If there's people out there listening, kids who are 10, 12, 15, like, were you grinding?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I think for me, what was, what made it a little bit different, what made it, I think in my personal opinion, what made it work was just not to get caught up in just the grind, to be able to take a break or take a step back, enjoy your time with your family, enjoy, you can have, as a 13-year-old, you can have a day off. Like
Sure.
there's a lot of parents out there that, have kids that are in athletics that, no days off. It's actually, in my opinion, it's actually really good to have a day off. It's really good to do something other than what you're doing. Because, for me, I was playing soccer all year round. I got burnt out. And then I had this love for basketball, and that's what I wanted to pursue. But, for me, is, summertime, go play and do this. But I wasn't in the gym, drill work. I was just I was at the park. I was just hooping, having fun with my brother. And, then when it came time to actually, work out and learn, then I, picked that up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there is a balance, though. So
yeah.
You can be grinding, but you can also be
100%.
having fun with your friends. I mean, it's not like you
100%.
missed a childhood, right?
No, and I think that's what I enjoyed the most. Like,
Yeah.
I may have been hooping, but like I'm just, I'm out with my friends playing.
Are you
ball.
still friends with any of those guys?
Actually, it's so funny is my brother and I are like 8 years apart.
Okay.
It was all his boys. Also, like I was playing like, even when I was young, 11, 12 years old, I'm playing with like 18, 19-year-olds. Like, and my brother would, he would have to ask for me to get on the court. And then once I, started getting a little bit bigger, started getting a little bit better, the guys on the court were asking me to stay on the court with them.
They were like, yeah, we got Donte next.
Yeah. So it was
Right.
funny how things changed. And
When did you hit, like, what are you, 6'3" about?
yeah, I grew a little bit, I would say, going, after my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Kind of that's when kind of things started to take off. I started maturing. And then that's when kind of all the college recruitment started. That sophomore summer is when I got my first offer, and then
That's exciting.
by the next year I was committed. So
Any other like professional athletes come out of your high school?
yeah, we had Troy Reeder, football player.
Sure.
Brian O'Neill.
Okay.
So we've had a good amount. We're known for more baseball, soccer, football, lacrosse, but basketball
You
won.
broke that mold a little bit.
Yeah, it changed a little bit. Now
You guys won a state championship?
We won our first ever, and then we won back to back.
Wow.
So then I was super happy. Honestly, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna happen again.
Yeah.
And the last year, I believe that they just won again. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so it kind of changed.
Any standout kids on that roster?
They were good. They were
Yeah.
good. I think we created a different mold too with within the team and the school is just a more diverse team. I think was really good for not only the team but for the school. I think
Sure.
just having a diverse student body and everybody on the team just kind of it was one family there. For a long time it was one way.
That's cool. So that affects the community too.
Exactly.
Like everybody comes
and
together
everybody
more.
comes together.
That's
and
nice.
it's,
That is important.
You think of the long term,
Oh my God.
long term,
So
achievements.
you kind of had a lot of part to do with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say started it, but I would definitely say we, while I was there during my 4 years, that we had a big influence.
That's awesome. So was there a moment, like, do you remember specifically something you could think about where you were like, I'm going to be a professional basketball player? Like this is what I'm going to do? Because, obviously you could have been a million things. You might not have been a basketball player. You might have, we'll talk about what you might have wanted to do, but was there a moment where you said like something clicked and you said, this is it?
What's funny is former Nick, Courtney Lee
Sure.
was actually like my favorite player growing up. Obviously you had your LeBrons, I had two players where I looked up to, actually three of them before I even started like focusing on NBA.
Who were the other two?
It was less of, so it was George Hill, which I played with, and Daniel Gibson.
Oh, cool.
So, but the reason why was not because of what they were doing in the NBA, but it was more of like their journey to the NBA. I was trying to relate to people that, you look at, Courtney Lee went to Western Kentucky. You look at George Hill, IUPUI, like, there's guys that I didn't know my trajectory in terms of how to get to the NBA. So I was looking at dudes that like around my same size.
Sure.
And how did they go from a small school to the NBA, or how did they make it? And, I ended up being a little bit different, going to Villanova, winning championships, all that stuff. But like that, my mindset was stuck on them. So that they, helped me kind of.
So was it like a, if they can do it, I can too type deal? Or like, was it like
pretty much? It was like,
yeah,
just trying to like, I'm not going to look at LeBron and be like, oh, LeBron did it. So So I'm going to look, I'm going to look at something that is a little bit more similar in terms of path, not necessarily in terms of, person or player, just how did they make it with that path?
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of wanted to mold and like I said, I took a different route, but at the same time, is my mindset was still on what they were doing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. It's good to have examples like that to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't that just one moment where like you knew I'm gonna be a pro.
I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know. Like even after the championship game, like I wanted to test the waters. So it was a new rule, but I didn't know until I think the combine was the one time where I was like, all right, I tested first or second in every category.
Wow.
Let's just
That's
let's
a telltale sign right there.
So
That's
after
very cool.
that was kind of the.
So you've played for a lot of cities now, right? So now you're an NBA basketball player. You've played for a lot of cities. You've been in, let's see, Milwaukee, Golden State, right?
Sacramento,
and New York. I don't want to make any of the other cities upset, but tell me. Give me. Let's start at the first team, which was. So who would that be? Milwaukee. So first team Milwaukee. That's who you have your chip with, right?
Yeah.
So any standouts about that city that you love?
I loved how of a close knit community it was. In terms of the fan base. You can go to a restaurant and you blend in with everybody. They don't, nobody bothers you because, guys are coming to the same 4 or 5 restaurants every other day.
Because it's a pretty small city, right?
Small city.
Yeah.
So everybody's welcoming. Everybody's like, yep, there's Donte.
That's cool.
Yep, there's so-and-so.
Sure.
And just keep it moving.
Yeah.
Which I've really enjoyed because you got to just focus on basketball.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Okay. So Milwaukee, you're a fan of. You would potentially look at that one again?
I'm actually a fan of all the cities I played in.
Sacramento?
Yeah. I only spent 2 months there.
Yeah.
But during my time there, I thought I was going to be there for a long time. So, exploring the suburbs, looking at
People say it's a beautiful city, actually.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed my time there for sure.
So Golden State, that's San Fran, right?
Yeah, it's similar but way different.
Okay.
Where I was living, I was probably 20, 30 minutes from the city. And I was in the mountain, in the hills, and just, my house was beautiful, and when we loved it, I had no complaints.
Yeah. No, it seems like a nice place to live.
I had no complaints.
Anyone I speak to from there is like kind of calls it blissful.
Yeah, for sure.
So now you come to the Mecca, right? New York City, where you weren't far from anyway growing up, right? So I'm sure you were in New York a bunch. What is it like playing in New York City? Just tell me, about the city, and then we'll get into, potentially some of the fans, crazy or not, or whatever.
The city is, it's unique where there's nothing quite like it in NBA. And it's hard to describe because you don't really get that feeling unless you're in it.
Does it feel different? Like when you're playing different on the court, does it feel different?
Yeah, it feels different. It's almost like there's like a hidden pressure where, guys from visiting teams, you're going to get everybody's best every time they come into the Garden because they want to perform in the Garden. That's why
everybody always has their all-time highs there.
Exactly. You look at guys, I was actually just joking with Steph before we played him. He went scoreless in the game before us in terms of the first half. And then he comes out against us and he has, 4 or 5 threes in the first half. And it's like guys will perform in the Garden. So I think there's just a different level of energy to it.
It's funny. I remember years ago, I was at a Knicks game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like second row or whatever. I had good seats and it was cool. And Steph came to the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
This was probably, this must have been 2014, right? And I'll just never forget, like, he went on this crazy streak. I mean, he was looking at I kid you not, he was looking at the crowd hitting shots.
Yeah.
And I remember saying in my head, like, wow. And I think that night he dropped like 60 or something like that.
Yeah, he's
and I remember just saying, like, wow, like, is this normal? And then he became who he is today, which is, I mean, there's no argument he's the best shooter ever, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
So when you were in Golden State, like, was there anything you learned from him from a shooting perspective, or did he say just shoot more?
No, just like little nuances of how to contort your body, how to get your shot off the way you want to, rather than letting the defense dictate it. But I would say more so of just his ability to focus on being, a husband, a father, a human being first. I think he has his job, and he takes care of his job and does it at a high level, but his main focus is being a good man, a good father, a good husband. So
you could see that too, by the way. It seems like he's very family oriented.
Exactly.
And obviously he's a golfer too, so at some point I would like to play him in golf.
Elite golfer.
We'll see. I know he's good. Let's see what happens when we're out there. All right, so now we get to this podcast is presented by Island Auto Group. So I do want to talk about, one of your passions too, which is cars.
Yeah.
I know you love your cars.
I love my cars.
I know from Island you're driving a Dodge Charger, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How's that Charger?
It's great. I love the wide body on it. I
Sure.
think there's a stance to it that just is, when it's driving by.
Looks mean.
Yeah, exactly. And it has a deep, the deep exhaust.
Yes.
You can't beat it. So I think just the simpleness of the Charger, but you add the wide body on it, it just takes it to a whole nother level.
What other cars do you have right now?
I have a Ram TRX.
That thing is a beast.
Which is my baby.
Yeah.
It's an absolute beast. Actually, same engine that's in the Hellcat.
How crazy is it?
Yeah, so
in a 10,000 pound truck.
It's ridiculous.
It feels unfair.
But it doesn't drive like
by the way, it's
like a truck.
Very comfortable.
It drives like a car.
Yes.
And I also have a Range Rover. I have a long wheelbase Range Rover, and
How does that compare?
You know, all three are different. Like, obviously, the Charger's a more sporty ride.
Sure.
But when you're comparing the truck and the SUV, I kid you not, I take my truck kind of 90% of the time over the Range Rover.
Any reason? Just comfort, or
just the like, and I just like the way it feels.
Do you
how
feel like
big
you're on top
body
of the
it is.
world?
Yeah, like I feel safe in it.
Yeah.
And also it rides smooth. Like
So
there's just a comfort level to it where, the only time we really take the Range Rover is when I go into the city.
Sure.
For parking garages, the truck is
you
not gonna fit.
You have to get your own parking garage.
Exactly,
For that,
exactly.
When you I mean, when you get your cars, generally, I know with the Charger, Island Auto Group customized it. You know, it never had stock. What'd you do? You matted it out. You put some gloss accents here and there. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
We'll obviously show it. Do you do that with all your cars?
Yeah, that's kind of like my, I don't know what you want to call it, but like my staple with all the cars that I like. I just, you know, I black everything out, put a satin wrap on it, protect the paint.
All your cars are satin?
All my cars are satin.
What's the reason?
I just like that murdered out kind of clean look to it.
I'm with you.
And for me, almost like you can step out of the truck or the Range or whatever, the Charger, whatever you're driving, and you can be wearing whatever. Like there's some people have cars within, you know, athletics and stuff with NBA, NFL guys. Like they'll have cars that are so loud that the personality that you get out of the car with has to match it.
Yes.
Like for me, it's like, it's almost the opposite. I want to keep that subtle murdered out look, and then whatever I wear, you know.
You're kind of that subtle murdered out player too.
Yeah.
All of a sudden just pulling up, banging threes in people's faces.
Pretty much, exactly.
It makes sense. Your cars kind of do fit your personality, honestly. Yeah. Would you think about going EV at any point? I know you discussed at some point.
Have.
You looked at the Hummer, right?
I have. The Hummer EV is definitely, if I were to go EV, that's probably the car on the list.
Hummer?
Yeah.
You have any interest in it?
I do. Okay. I do. I actually really like. I'm actually torn between the SUV version and the truck.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, would you get rid of the TRX?
No.
Right.
No.
So
I would tell wifey that we're driving. You get to pick either the EV or the TRX.
That's amazing. Okay. That's very cool. So New York City now. You know, you live right outside the city. You're always in the city. Any to-go spots? Are you a homebody? I mean, is there one or two restaurants where like you say I gotta go there? You know, once anything like that? Are you looking for any places to go?
We're big. We're like, even though we don't like to leave the house that much,
right?
We're big on finding spots that we like. We're not big on.
You don't care about the name.
We don't care about the name. We're not big on like exploring a lot of spots. We've always been like, every city we've been to, you know, we find those spots and we literally just keep going there.
That's your spot.
That's our spot.
Right.
And
you have a spot.
I create relationships wherever we're going.
Yeah.
I would say our go-to spot, which is interesting because I don't even know if you're gonna recognize it as a restaurant, but RH Rooftop.
Oh yeah.
So
that's Restoration Hardware. Right?
Restoration Hardware.
How is it there?
Which is obviously a furniture store.
Of course.
But when you go to the rooftop,
I have furniture from
there's
there.
so do I.
Yeah,
beautiful,
nice.
beautiful. You go to rooftop, great views in the city. All their furniture is used for their patio stuff and
that's
everything.
Cool. So it's a good vibe.
Exactly. And you know,
food's good.
The food's amazing.
Really?
And the coffee's really good.
Where is it?
Meatpacking District.
Oh, okay.
Right by Catch, which is
it's perfect.
Another spot that we always go to.
Yeah, Catch is good too.
Catch we hit after games a lot.
Yeah. Oh, with the team stuff?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, that's cool. That's amazing, dude. Yeah, I got to check out that RH Rooftop.
It is. It's our go-to. Like if we're doing any errands throughout the day in the city or we're shopping.
And
or
up
something.
there, do they know you?
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah. So we walk in and you know, my guy's there and we always sit down. We have wife and I have a latte and we just chill.
That sounds nice. So so how do you decompress from the games? You know, from just like you said, growing up, you needed to find different outlets. You know, et cetera, et cetera. Like, what do you do now? Anything special going on around your life?
I would say, obviously, the video games is kind of like
what are you playing?
The number one. I play Warzone, Call of Duty.
Okay.
I'm on PC, so I don't use console or anything. Okay. So I use the computer. But all that's about to end. My greatest accomplishment's about to be here.
Wow, what's that?
Baby boy. So
that's amazing.
So
congratulations on that.
Yeah. So
when's that happening?
Should happen, within a couple weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's big time.
All the video games
Donte
are gonna
Jr.?
go. No, she shot me down on the Donte Jr., but we're gonna keep working on it.
Okay, good.
We're gonna keep working
Jeremy's
on
a
it.
nice name, by the way.
Jeremy is a good name. It is a good name. I don't know if it beats Donte Jr.
That's DJ Strong.
But yeah, all those video games are about to end.
So
man.
By the way, decompression, I don't know if that's going to be a thing.
It will. Everybody says it, but at the same time, it's everything you dream of in life.
Sure.
To have a child, so everything's gonna be it's gonna be the best feeling in the world, no matter how tired and stuff you are.
I can tell you from a first-hand perspective.
Yeah.
Having a kid changes a lot, dude. Like in terms of, I'm saying it only in positive ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just think of things differently.
Yeah.
Anything you do, you think of them. Like you even sometimes think of like, it's just interesting. You'll look at a kid, right? Like I still look at my kids and I'm starting to get upset because they're 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like they're starting to get out of that, like
the baby phase.
Not even the baby phase, like more of like, now they're very cognizant of like what they're doing. It's like now they feel embarrassment with things.
Yeah.
When I used to look at like them when they were 2 and 3, like
they didn't care.
They didn't care about anything, right? Yeah. And like sometimes I used to be jealous of that. Like, man, like why can't I just?
It's like my little nephew. He just started travel basketball and stuff, and now he's doing the whole I'm with my friends. Dad, like stay away.
Dude, it's a weird thing, right?
Yeah. So,
dude, your nephew's probably like, oh, can you bring Uncle Donte to the game?
Exactly.
Nah, it's a weird thing, but congratulations, that's gonna be awesome for you.
Can't wait.
That's awesome.
Can't wait.
All right, I'm gonna we're gonna play one game quick. We'll wrap it up with a couple words from you, but here's the game, okay?
Yeah.
You know the game FMK?
I don't.
You could bleep this out, right, Will?
Oh, yes.
F, marry, kill?
Yes.
Okay, we're not playing that, okay? 'Cause, we know we have situations. We're not going to play that, okay? But what we are going to play is a game called Drive, Garage. What's the last one again? Junkyard. It's going to be called Drive, Garage, Junkyard. So it's the same concept. The drive is the one you want to F.
Yeah.
The garage is the one that you want to marry.
Yeah.
And the kill is the one you want to junkyard. I'm gonna give you 3 cars.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go. Here we go. We're gonna start with the first 3. Dodge Charger, wide body. Ram TRX, Range Rover, long wheelbase. Does that sound familiar, by the way?
Man, put me in a tough predicament.
Yeah. No. Just give your honest opinion here.
I mean,
it seems to me very clear what you're driving. I mean, based on our conversation.
Yeah, I'm driving the TRX.
Yeah, okay.
That's my drive.
Yeah.
Honestly, this sounds insane.
Yeah.
Just because of, what people think
when
it comes Range Rovers. But, I honestly would probably have to junkyard the Range Rover. Maintenance is insane.
Oh, I've heard, dude.
Maintenance is insane.
Sometimes they say you need 2 Range Rovers for Range Rover.
The brakes and all that stuff.
It's crazy,
is
right?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I would say garage, the Charger, because honestly, when you open a garage, the mean look, keep it clean.
That moment.
No brake dust, nothing on it. Just very clean and shiny and just looking pretty.
I think I like your choices, by the way. Yeah. See your Range Rover.
Yeah. See your Range Rover.
So now we'll go to 3 cars that you don't have. Okay. I'm just gonna. Here we go. Lamborghini Urus.
Sure.
Okay. Ferrari 812 GTB.
Okay.
You know it, right? And let's give a really tough one here to compete with that. Aston Martin Superleggera.
That's the
sport car one.
Yes.
Like the crazy 700 something horsepower.
So initially I was going to say junkyard the Lamb just because to me it's an Audi RS Q8.
By the way,
it's
not just to you.
It is.
It's to everybody.
It is.
It just has a couple.
It's that with a couple 100,000 on top. I would probably let's drive the Aston, garage the Ferrari, and junkyard the Lamb.
Do you have interest in having like a exotic car at one point?
I have more.
I mean, you obviously have the means. You could buy whatever car you want.
I have more interest in buying a classic.
Really?
Yeah.
Like one of these.
I would love a, either like a Chevelle or a Barracuda. Like,
Really?
Yeah. So
And that would definitely be like your garage car.
that would be my garage car.
That's awesome.
I don't want an original one, just because that's more car show.
Yeah.
You don't drive it. I want to be able to drive it.
Sure.
So obviously a replica of something like that, or, my dad has a bunch of, interest in like old pickups that he has, like almost like milkman trucks.
Really?
Like, you know what I mean?
Those are dope,
like, they're
by the way.
fire.
So dope.
So I would love to, whenever I have, a separate house with the means, the garage, a bunch of stuff, like that's the kind of a dream, to have a bunch of classic cars rather than exotics. I think exotics, just a little bit of knowledge from me.
Have you driven exotics?
Yeah, and for me, is like it's less of going fast,
Yeah,
and it's more of a luxury ride.
Sure.
For what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And to what I'm saying about, the Lamb is an RS, like a lot of these big companies, exotic companies, are being manufactured by other companies anyway. So for me, is more of the luxury aspect of it. Like I would pick a Maybach over an exotic, like fast car, if that makes sense.
To drive or be driven in?
I know you're supposed to be driven in them. I would drive.
Wow.
I
you
would
like
drive.
that big boy?
I just like
comfort.
I need to be the one driving.
Yeah.
And I think, like the GLS Maybach truck is like.
Yeah, you know what I've been looking at lately? And I'm a crazy car person. So like I look at cars like crazy.
Yeah.
And I get like on these I just go weird places. Yeah. I've been looking at like a 2004 Maybach 62S's. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Like crazy long wheel body. Like, and I'm like dreaming of driving it and like putting up the barrier because my kids are in the back.
Yeah.
And sliding it up. Like whatever they want to do, make whatever noise they want to make. And like, they're not insane, by the way, but there is something, by the way, like there's just something about that ultra luxury, like that feel that is different. I mean, that's what you can't.
And that's the same feeling I'm talking about, kind of classic, is like, if you talk to people that have had Range Rovers a lot, like they say like the old Range Rover, just, it may not drive the same or whatever, but when you're driving it, it just has a certain feel to what you're driving.
100%. There's character.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
100%.
Like my friend just got what do you get, like the LR90 or whatever from like, you know, the Defender 90 from back in the day. Yeah. And he redid the entire thing.
Fire.
Dude, it's a crazy
The new Defenders are really nice.
They are nice.
They are really nice.
All right, so we got that. So maybe that's right. Maybe a Defender.
I'm not an exotic kind of car guy.
Okay, cool. So, lastly, right? If you were to do one other thing besides play professional basketball, what would it be? And don't say play professional soccer, because I know you might have been thinking that.
I wouldn't do anything. Would you do? Honestly, I mean, obviously now, like after, like I would love to be into coaching and stuff like that. But say I never played.
Say you never played.
One, I would stay in schools for as long as I could.
Were you a good student?
No.
Okay.
No, but just the fact of leaving the school world and going into the real world, it's easier in school world.
Oh my God! I tell my kids all the time.
I tell we talk to like my niece and my nephew, and obviously they're young, and it's like, and wifey's has brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews too that have recently gone through that. It's like, for us, like, just stay in school till you figure it out. Don't rush out because you have the rest of your life to work.
Stay in school, kids.
So that's the first that's the first thing. But then second is I'm big into animal rescue. So eventually we want to have our own kind of sanctuary.
That's awesome.
Specifically dogs to start out, but wifey has got me into more of rescuing like horses and kind of farm animal stuff. But
sure.
Definitely start out with dogs and doing a lot of work with them throughout my career so far.
That's awesome. Yeah. So do you have dogs right now?
Yeah, we have rescue.
What do you have?
He's like a terrier dachshund mix. So he has a long body, but he has a big thick chest.
Okay.
Very interesting dude. That's like our.
What's his name?
Like his name's Shorty. So he's a low rider.
I see what you did to him.
Yeah, he's a low rider, and we got him. We don't know how old he is. We've had him for about 6-7 years now, and that's like our first child.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So your son will grow up with a dog. So you'll always have dogs in your life.
Yeah, we have an old grandpa dog to look after him
with the gray beard and everything.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Well, first, thank you very much for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I think a lot of people learned a lot about you that they probably didn't know.
Yeah.
I know you're not out there a ton, so
No,
we appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely.
We're gonna talk after this about potentially your next car.
Yeah.
We'll talk about maybe Homer, stuff like that.
For sure.
Let's go Knicks.
Yes, sir.
Keep up the good work, dude.
Appreciate
In all
it.
seriousness, anyone I speak to, they're like, this guy is bringing it.
Yeah.
So take us to the promised land. Okay,
Appreciate
we need that chip.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because you need. I don't care about that first NBA chip.
Yeah, you need another one.
We need the New York Knicks chip.
Absolutely.
All right,
For
bro.
sure.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, brother.